I know something that I've always had to deal with, and I still do. I mean, it's a natural thing. I have a fear of conflict.
Really?
Yeah.
I would not guess that about you.
I know. A lot of people say that.
Because I watched you on set. I watched, you know what I mean?
Because I can bring it.
Yes.
But internally
building
myself,
up to it.
yeah, and I guess it depends on the person. You could be afraid of conflict with specific people.
No, sorry to interrupt you, but let me ask you a question. Are you fearful that it will turn into conflict so you don't start the conversation?
Yeah.
Or do you know it's going to be conflict? Or do you just like what like the
all
quote,
kinds.
like that fear of your outcome that you imagine, like you create your own destiny with fear? So do you like work yourself up and then it could become a conflict?
Oh yeah. All of those things.
Okay, interesting.
And I try to figure out where that comes from. I know probably some of it is projected, so some of it's not even mine. It's like my mom or my dad's.
Right.
And you have to sometimes definitely look at your parents when you go to therapy. You start looking at those behaviors like that from your parents and where those came from. And definitely I could see where some of that has stemmed from that, and how they handle conflict situations, and if it is over the top, irrational, whatever.
Okay, break it down for a second. No, without getting too specific, but right. So if you have an issue that needs to be addressed, did it usually turn into a big conflict when you would address it at home growing up, or what do you mean by that? Yeah.
At that time, specific to me, it wasn't about me. All these things about play dates and all that kind of stuff, I didn't have that. It was about the parents, what they had to do, their work, whatever they were doing. There was also a healthy issue of drugs in there to deal with. Okay. And so therefore, as a kid and impressionable, I was like, I don't know. I didn't know the words. I didn't know what to define it, but it was like, he's in that place, or he's, or if there was like a weird fight or something, I was that kid that was like, don't fight. But then eventually, after so much of it, you just kind of recede.
Because that's trauma.
You get quiet. Yeah.
Of not knowing. And the fear comes with it.
And if you're not being spoken to, or it's not being explained to you, or it's, all those things, or you watch the repercussions of what those conflicts create in your child mind, you're trying to make sense of stuff. I always say, and I think adults a lot of times do not realize how smart kids are and how they can really understand things. You just have to talk to them.
So true.
They're little people that are, and you have to, find ways for them to understand.
They always know too.
But they'll get it, and I knew I could get it. That's why, my parents were divorced. And divorce for me, when people say it's unfortunate, but it's a positive thing generally, because it's two people who are not meant to be together, who are unhappy, right? And so they're on their journey to beginning to get to the happiness, or whatever that is. And yes, it's more difficult when children are involved. But 10 to 1, in many cases, it's better for the child. It's
better to come from a broken home than live in one. That's what they say.
That's a good way of phrasing
that. It's true, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just took me a couple of months to, but you have to just talk to the kids, explain it or whatever. In my case, my stepdad was the one who spoke to me and made it make sense and stuff like that. And because in the beginning, when I first met him, I was like, who?
I can't even imagine.
No.
Parents still married. I've never had that.
Yeah. But then, we fell in love with each other, and it was just wonderful.
You saw how happy your mom was compared to her and your dad.
And then it starts to make sense. And even as a little kid, you go, oh, okay, I'm not feeling as stressed, or I'm not feeling so unsure. I'm feeling just better. I can think about other things.
I can be a kid.
Exactly. Yeah. So,
it's a beautiful thing.
Fear of conflict can stem from a lot of those different things. And then you just project, you can create your own. Our minds are amazing things. Imagination
can manifest.
Yeah. Shit. So you can create a story without even just, dealing with it first. And then you think, oh my God, it's going to blow up in my face. I'm with this and hard. I don't want to deal with that. Blah, 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 blah. So you're trying to be in denial and tiptoe around certain things if you had just dealt with something ahead of time. So that's always been a struggle for me.